Bloodborne is a really awesome game. What's going on, guys and girls? I am GhostRobo, and tons of people have been asking me to make a video on Bloodborne. I've played it a couple of times at PAX Prime in the Bloodborne Alpha. I actually was one of 20 people to beat the entire Bloodborne demo at PAX Prime, which blew me away. I thought way more people would be able to get through it. Apparently, like 3,500 people played, between 3,500 and 4,000, and only me and 19 others got through that thing. So let me tell you about my experience with that and how this game fits into sort of the overarching Souls franchise. Right off the bat, this is going to be a great game. I don't have any issue saying that. From Software, they know what they're doing. They don't overhype stuff. They're just like, boom, here's our really sweet game. It looks pretty. It feels great. Enjoy. And it's coming out super soon. We only have a couple of months to wait. It is glorious. I played Bloodborne for the first time. I waited in line at PAX Prime back at the end of August, beginning of September, and I died very quickly right away, because it's one of those things where if you haven't played Souls game for a while, you get in, you're like, go, 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 I want to see everything, oops, and that's sort of how this was. I really love Dark Souls 1 and 2. I played Demon Souls. I did not finish it, I'll admit to that personal failing of myself, but I love the series, and so I'm really hopeful that this can be an even better game than what we got from DS2 earlier this year. Bloodborne takes things in a much more aggressive direction, and some people have worried that that might make the game less hardcore, more casual, and I definitely had that concern the first time I played it at PAX Prime. Once I got my hands on, once I got a little bit of familiarity with the controls, I knew where the health potion button was and all that stuff, I kind of worked my way through that demo without a whole lot of worry. The way that it was set up was you had your sword that sort of turned into this crazy axe, and then your blunderbuss shotgun in the other hand. No shields, which feels very strange, because circle strafing is kind of the name of the game when it comes to Dark Souls enemy encounters, but you're not doing that here. You're much more playing cat and mouse, baiting and attacking, and they've introduced some systems that encourage you to really go all out. The first being that you can kind of, it basically is equivalent to a parry with your gun. If you shoot them right as they're about to attack you, they will be stunned, and then you can go in with your melee weapon for a finisher, which is kind of the replacement for parrying, it seems like. The other one, and this is sort of a fighting game type mechanic, is that you'll notice sometimes your meter will dip down, and it'll show like a little bit of a faint red line for the health. So it goes down, but then there's a faint part that you can actually recover. So if you attack and draw blood while that's there, you'll recover some of your health back. So when you get hit, it's not like, oh god, run away, you'll end up losing more health. Instead, you want to turn the tables and push the fight back in your favor, get aggressive, go after them, and regain some of that health, which does definitely switch things up. The style of combat is going to be different from Dark Souls, and I think that's a good thing. If it was just another Dark Souls called Bloodborne, and it basically was DS3, I worry that that might be a little bit stale, but here they've introduced some new stuff, a whole bunch of new weapons, and a big focus on weapons that change and can be dual-wielded as, like, it's the same weapon, but it has multiple forms, which I think is brilliant. And at PAX Prime, I played the one with the, like I said, the sword and the saw type thing, which is cool. It can kind of extend out. But I've also played other ones that you have seen, so I don't feel this is not like a spoiler or anything or breaking anything. There's a gigantic hammer that is so freaking cool, and what is great about that is you're able to get these alternating attacks, and when you're switching the weapon, like your sword goes into the hammer and then is used as the hammer, and you can do these combos where you're like, okay, I've got the hammer, then I do an attack, I pull the sword out, do an attack, put the sword back in, and you create these insanely cool combos that feel straight out of some film, some sweet action film, some vampire destruction fest. It's got a whole gothic feel, obviously, and I'm concerned a little bit about the areas. I hope they're not all dark and dingy like this. I really like the time period. I think it's exciting that they're going beyond the medieval flair that Dark Souls 1 and 2 had, and even Demon Souls, obviously, but I like that. I like that. I hope there's a lot of variety in the environments. All we've really played and seen a lot of is this castle, nighttime, zombie parade area, and there's been a couple more in the trailers from TGS and whatnot, but I hope that they have as much variety. That's something that I loved about Dark Souls 2, is that there was a lot of variety in the visuals, and I hope that this game is able to capture that, because it looks gorgeous and it can be a showpiece title for next gen, especially if they use lighting in both dark and bright settings to really show off their graphics engine. So back to the demo that I played at PAX. You're going through, and a lot of these enemies were pretty easy for me to overcome. I had Molotovs, I had pebbles that I could use as sort of to distract or attract them. I had health, and you also have bullets. Your gun is not infinite, it does have bullets, and don't worry, this isn't the kind of gun that's firing across the map, although some enemies can do that, like they could in previous Dark Souls with the bows and arrows, but this is definitely a up-close and personal kind of gun. It's not something you're going to be aiming and shooting, you know, the dude across the hallway. I don't think it's going to be that way. Perhaps there will be a weapon like that, but I have not had access or even seen the inventory screens whatsoever. That has been under wraps, so I don't know how much variety there is in weaponry. I don't know how they will all play out. I hope there's a lot of different stuff, but I think people who are concerned about this becoming a range fest, your worries can be assuaged, definitely. Progressing through this demo, I like that there was dynamic enemy behavior. So a lot of these enemies were walking through, you've seen them sort of parading through this town square, and you can interact with them and engage them at any moment. They're not just standing there waiting for you to walk into their arena, and that is something that definitely feels like an evolution. If there's more of that, more sort of, I guess you'd call it like unprovoked behaviors for the AI, where they're doing their own thing, living out their own lives without you around, that's super sweet. So maybe we have instances where there's creatures, you know, swimming around eating other creatures, or they're battling each other, or they're, you know, destroying something, or they're all kind of, you know, running across an area, or they're, I don't know what it could be, but it seems like you could do a lot of different things with dynamic enemy behavior before combat, and it would give you more freedom to fight these dudes in different ways that you select. As I progressed through the demo, the enemies definitely got bigger and more awesome and more difficult to take down. There was an NPC that helped out, and definitely, you know, you're exploring. I'm not sure that all the exploration stuff was in there. I don't know if the item system is complete. The drops that you pick up are, you know, obviously this is not final, but I was picking things up, and I did not see what the like leveling up thing is. There was no acquisition of souls, like a number, so I'm not sure how that's gonna all be handled. That's probably my biggest question at this point, is how do you deal with leveling up, progression, building your character? Will that be very similar to Demons and Darks, or will it be more like one or the other, something totally new? I don't know that that's been revealed. I sure don't know what the heck it is yet, and I'm excited to find out where they go with that. Eventually, I made my way to the boss, and he was a big, monstrous, kind of like a werewolf tree demon crossover, and it was an exciting boss fight, and you've seen this in all the trailers and demos, because it happened more dynamically. Again, this is sort of the evolution for the series, where instead of being in a room waiting for you, the boss kind of jumps down onto the bridge and surprises you. Now, we've had some instances of that in the previous games, but I hope they do a lot more and make it more exciting. I don't know that you need every boss to surprise you, because then you can't really prepare, which is always, you know, sort of an important thing when you're preparing for one of these boss battles. But it would be cool if there were some instances where you're just totally surprised, rather than knowing, oh, you're going to go through this, you know, mist gate here and whatnot. But there definitely are those gates in the game. We've seen them. It was just exciting to have a boss sort of drop down and be like, whoa, I'm here, ready for battle. He was pretty easy. I stayed underneath him, and I beat the demo. I tried to explore my way around, and I did a pretty thorough job, and then they rewarded me with me getting to hold the actual weapons from Bloodborne and taking some fun pictures. You can see those on my Instagram. I felt a little embarrassed holding these giant things, but it was sweet to see like the sword saw thing in person, like scythe, sword, saw, and then the big shotgun. Pretty crazy and pretty cool. A couple other things I noticed within the demo: you are able to run past many of these guys quite easily, and that's something that's always been a concern in Dark Souls for me, is like there is a chance to just sort of sprint through a lot of the areas and reach your end goal. You do that when you're going back for more souls, or when you're trying to rush back to a boss, and you can get yourself in trouble. But it's interesting when you can just like avoid an entire area, and I guess it's all going to come how the leveling up I assume it's going to be the same type of thing. So you're not going to want to sprint past guys because you want to get their souls, and that's sort of how that all is going to go. But I did notice that I was able to sort of get from start to finish by just sprinting my way through, which was, I don't know. I just recognized that, and I did it once, and it was interesting. There are like some gates you're opening that allow you to backtrack. So clearly there's, it's going to be a connected environment, I assume, and these are just places for you to open the floodgates and kind of create an easier flow of progress. But because it was a demo, there wasn't anywhere to really go. You're just looping back on yourself. So I'm assuming that eventually that'll be like that. I've been trying to keep kind of dark on this game. Obviously I'm playing it, but in terms of all the details, I don't know in terms of, are there going to be bonfires, how that's all going to work. There was none of that, obviously, in what I played. Now, I did mention at the top of this video that I was a bit concerned about the difficulty, and one thing I wanted to say was that I haven't played the alpha, and while we're not really allowed to go into much detail with that, I do want to say that my concerns about difficulty are not, they don't hold. I'm not worried about it anymore. I think it's fine for me to say that what I've played at home is a lot more difficult than what I played at PAX. They always tune demos down for conventions because they don't want people to get frustrated. I mean, even in the easier form, only 20 people beat it, so it's a bit, you'd be worried if it was that easy throughout, I'd be worried, but also if they made the demo super hard, people would just think the game sucked and get frustrated. So clearly they tuned it down for PAX Prime and probably for TGS as well, where only a handful of people beat it. But I can definitely confirm to you that the game is not that easy, and it's pretty brutal. And as someone who beat the entire demo at PAX Prime on the show floor, definitely did not fare as well from the comfort of my own home. Well, that's as much as I probably should say about that, but hopefully that confirms that this game is going to be tough. I don't think it's too casual. I think that the new focus on aggression and sort of stepping forward rather than stepping back is intriguing and will create some real fun encounters, and I'm curious to see how it plays out with bosses, because it's one thing if you're facing off against a big massive boss and you're kind of rolling by his feet or whatever, but with more live bosses, how is that aggression going to play out? You still have to dodge, don't get me wrong, you still have to dodge, you still have to roll and avoid and take your time and use your health items, but it's going to be exciting to see. Like, there's even a big enemy in the demo. He's pounding on a door. You've probably seen him. He's like a big mummy guy, and he's really tough, and he's not even a boss because of the fact he's got some big attacks, and if he damages you, again, you want to go in to reclaim your blood and get your health back, but at the same time, then you're opening yourself up for an even deadlier attack where you could retreat and sort of regroup. So really cool systems. I'm excited to see where it all goes. It looks like there's no shields, and that's a pretty bold play, I think, by the people at From Software, and I'm encouraged by everything I've seen. I'm excited. This is going to be, I think, I'm just predicting right now it's going to be a brilliant game. It looks great. It'll have great combat. It feels great in the hands, and those dual, like, multi-form weapons is something that I didn't expect, but I love it, and the ability to combo in and out of those is going to be so good. Like, it's going to be so good. It feels so good already, and picking the ones that you want, and maybe there's a system to integrate different weapons with each other. I don't know how many animations they have or what, but man, like, this is going to be a really sweet game. Bloodborne, watch out for it. February is going to be hot, so we will play it for sure. Then I'll be bringing you content. Any more coverage I can get of it, I will definitely let you guys know. Maybe we'll make an update closer to launch if they reveal more gameplay or something. But I hope this video was helpful, informative. Kind of just want to chat with you guys and talk about my Bloodborne experience with you. I loved it. I beat the demo. I've been playing more of it. It's hard, and it's definitely a step towards a new sort of, a little bit of a new kind of Dark Souls. I don't know that it's a full-on evolution, but it's doing things differently enough that it feels like, hey, this is a worthy sequel. And even though it doesn't bear a number at the end of the title, Bloodborne is clearly a descendant of the Dark Souls and Demon Souls, and I love where it's at right now. So I'm excited to play it. I'm glad it's coming out so soon worldwide, and I will see you guys there. Until that time, have a fantastic day. Tell me your thoughts and what you're thinking about the game, all that stuff, any details you have or know in the comments below. I'll be reading them and responding. Hit that like button if you had fun. Drink so much, Charlotte. Until next time, we'll see you all later.